reception down here?
I don't have a phone.
It's coming from out there.
Hey, Bub. You're in a movie theater, not the off room in your mom's nursing home. So turn your phone to silent or I'll shove it so far up your you'll have to answer it through your
No, easy now. Easy now. So much testosterone. It's... God, when you yell like that, it makes my vibrate.
Honestly, if the film had just been that, I would have said it was a masterpiece. Anyway, how you doing, guys? Got another Bladeslinger vlog for you. So I just got back from seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, and I'm here to get my thoughts on it. Now, before I talk about this film, I feel like I should talk about the rest of the X-Men cinematic universe, I guess you could call it. So, the X-Men series is not something that I'm personally a big fan of. It's not that the stories it tells can't be absolutely amazing and that there aren't any characters in it I enjoy, but it was just never my comic book. There's only so many times you can see the X-Men fight Magneto and his mutants. Occasionally some other faction like Apocalypse or what have you. But the X-Men movies were still a big part of my childhood. However, as I grew older, I came to realize that the only part of the movies that I really liked was Wolverine, specifically Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So when Hugh Jackman called it quits with Logan, which is still one of my all-time favorite movies, that's when I stopped going to the movie to see X-Men movies. That is until they put out the first Deadpool movie. And it really was cathartic to see that film because they just screwed up so badly with his depiction in X-Men Origins. To see him, get a second wind with such skilled filmmakers, such skilled writers who were willing to adapt this character as accurately as they could, it was just a thing of beauty. Though I feel like the Deadpool movies get a little more love than I think they deserve. There's no denying that they are really fun movies and a major breath of fresh air, especially because when the film came out, the MCU was arguably at its peak. But when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, there was concern for a lot of people, myself included, if we would ever see that version of Deadpool again. But thankfully that ended up not being the case because not only was it announced that Deadpool, specifically played by Ryan Reynolds, is going to be incorporated into the MCU, but for his first film as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he'd be teaming up with Wolverine, specifically the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I remember when Logan came out, how Ryan Reynolds was disappointed that he felt that film would never happen. So the fact that it's finally happened had me really excited, which is really something because the Marvel movies haven't exactly been particularly good as of late. So this seemed like a chance to, give the MCU a little jump start in order to get it back on track. And while I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be the film that, is going to bring back the audiences, is at least going to get their foot in the door and maybe help Marvel, get back to what made the films good in the first place rather than whatever the hell they've been doing lately. So what is this film about? Well, in the film, Deadpool is, he comes into contact with the Time Cops from the Loki series, and they tell him that they're going to take him out of his universe and put him in the MCU. And the reason they're doing this? Well, because Deadpool's universe is dying. Apparently, their anchor figure, as they call it, has died, which means that the timeline isn't going to last much longer. And that anchor figure happens to be Wolverine. So Deadpool isn't willing to let this happen, so he goes dimension hopping and pulls a Wolverine out of another dimension with the intention of having him replace his Wolverine. However, the Time Cops don't have any intention of letting him do that and actually plan on just, destroying Deadpool's dimension outright. So now Deadpool and Wolverine have to find a way to get back to Deadpool's home dimension so that they can put a stop to all this. And that might sound like a major plot dump that I'm spoiling the entire film there, but believe me, that is just the basic synopsis. A lot of crazy, wacky, insane stuff happens in this movie. So if you feel like I just spoiled the movie, don't worry. That's basically stuff that's all in the trailer. I didn't spoil a damn thing. All right, so the main thing that I wanted to see in this movie was really just Deadpool and Wolverine together. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I was just so excited to see that. And the film definitely delivered. You can tell from the get-go that these two characters just absolutely hate each other. And of course, that leads to a lot of great action sequences where the two just beat the living shit out of each other. And a lot of people would probably find the violence disturbing, but it is a Deadpool movie, so, you know, these guys have healing factors, so it really doesn't matter that they are doing this to each other because, you know, they can heal. It often comes off as slapstick. But the film isn't just Deadpool and Wolverine fighting each other, as Ryan Reynolds stated in a humorous post before the film came out. There actually are a lot of really good action sequences in the movie. A lot of it calls upon a lot of unexpected places, pitting Wolverine and Deadpool against a lot of interesting opponents. And one scene in particular was just absolutely brilliant in how they chose to do it. It actually reminded me of this old manga adaptation called Old Boy, and it was just a beautifully brutal fight scene. I loved it. But that does lead me to one of my biggest problems with this film, and that's really the fact that, and it's something my little brother said as we were walking out of the theater, the film is loads of fun to watch. It is absolutely hilarious. The action sequences are stellar, but you also can't help but get the sense that this is also sort of an admission of fault on the part of Disney. And that is something I wanted to see in the movie because, you know, I'm a huge fan of the Marvel films. I'm a big fan of Disney. And on all accounts, they have been failing as of late. So I wanted to see Deadpool poke fun at that. And there's even a point in the movie where Deadpool says that he's coming into things at a low point. But them doing that, it just kind of comes off to me as like that scene in the Indiana Jones movie where Indy just asks what the hell he's doing, going on this adventure when he's 90 years old. It's like they're admitting to their faults, but at the same time, they aren't really coming up with any kind of solution to it too, which is why I am not in the mindset that this is the film that is going to, you know, save the MCU. This is definitely the film that's going to get people back into the theaters. Like, me and my little brother went to see it, and the film was packed, and the film has already grossed more than the last MCU movie, which is The Marvels. Not really saying much. I didn't think that film was going to make any money to begin with. But, like, people are going to go see this movie, but the question is, now that Disney has admitted that they have made some really big mistakes as of late, and they've allowed the filmmakers of Deadpool to make fun of that, are they going to actually capitalize on that? Are they going to go back to what they did before? Just find characters from unique and interesting settings and then build films around them rather than, you know, pick stuff that's, you know, just for, you know, social relevance, political brownie points, or whatever they've been doing with their past few movies. Like, the reason that Marvel films have lost their way as of late isn't necessarily that, you know, there's nothing left for them to do in the MCU universe, that the in-game film was just too good. No, the fact of the matter is they just deviated too far from what made the MCU good in the first place. They had a formula that they were following, but in a way that made for a nice variety of films, and they're just not using that formula anymore, which they really shouldn't have stopped doing in the first place. It's something that DC should have done with their films as well, and they would have been successful as well. And, like, for example, the multiverse stuff. Deadpool does take a lot of pot shots at the multiverse stuff, and how that's sort of run the whole continuity of the MCU into the ground. I agree with Deadpool completely. The whole multiverse saga was a complete failure. Just stop, Disney. Don't do it anymore. But there was also something else that I really did enjoy about Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's that this was also something of a send-off to a bygone era of comic book movies. Obviously, this is going to be the last time we really see anything from the long-running X-Men franchise, which has been running for decades, which is a little sad to see, but they're also going away with it in a respectful manner, but also one that's funny. And I'm not just referring to, the fact that, they reference Logan and how he met his end in that movie. They actually do handle that very respectfully, while also being very disrespectful at the same time, and that's part of the joke. I won't dare spoil what they do with that. But that's also not the only film that they're referencing. A lot of people forget that 20th Century Fox made a lot of superhero movies, and a lot of them are referenced in this movie, and I really enjoyed that. Though I can't say that everything that 20th Century Fox put out was good. It was still a part of my childhood. Whenever a Marvel movie came out, I would always go out on my way to see it because I was excited to see these characters come to life. They were definitely the result of focus testing and this underlying desire to get them over with a general audience. But now that we have the MCU, where any bizarre concept in a comic book can now make it into a film and have it go over well with a general audience, we just really don't need those film franchises anymore. And while it is sad to see them go, they are still getting a beautiful send-off here, so that is nice. So at the end of the day, Deadpool and Wolverine, it's a lot of fun. Again, this isn't going to be a film that's going to, breathe new life into the MCU, but I feel like it is the film that is going to get their foot in the door. Disney has an opportunity to really course correct with the MCU with this film, and I really hope they capitalize on it. They have allowed these filmmakers to make fun of them, and now it's time to actually think about how they can be better rather than just sit there and take it. So if you didn't see it this weekend, I feel like most of my viewers probably already have, because if you're watching me, you probably have similar taste as me. But even if you're not a fan of Marvel, or if you're tired of the MCU, this is still worth seeing because, again, it's just poking fun at a lot of the stuff that they've been doing lately, while also being respectful of it as well. I don't think they want to see these movies go anywhere either. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Wolverine versus Deadpool, guys. I'll see you next time.